Hi friends, welcome back to my channel where we use science to cut through the fitness myths and help you make informed choices about your health and well-being. This is a question I get all the time. I actually got it again last week. It is one of my favorite topics because it makes exercise far more accessible. And that question is it even worth working out if I can only manage one session a week? The short answer, backed by multiple high-quality studies, is yes, absolutely yes. Your body responds to tiny doses of movement in ways that meaningfully improve health, longevity, and brain function. Today, we're looking at what the research really says about minimal effective exercise, or exercise snacks, and why even tiny amounts of activity benefit people who don't follow structured workouts. So there is this myth floating around that if you're not doing 5 gym sessions a week, then your movement doesn't really count. But new research is showing the opposite. Even very small, very infrequent, or very short bouts of movement create measurable improvements in health markers. And not because they burn loads of calories, but because exercise triggers cellular, vascular, neuromuscular, and metabolic adaptations, even in tiny doses. So that brings us to a very exciting area of research. A 2022 review explored the concept of exercise snacks, short bursts of exercise throughout the day. They found that short bouts as little as 2 to 3 minutes can improve insulin sensitivity, blood glucose control, cardiovascular function, and muscle oxidative capacity. And the crucial part is that these improvements happened even in people who did not engage in regular workouts. So if you only manage one formal session a week, but you break up your day with stair climbs, brisk walks, squats, or stretch breaks, you're doing far more good than you think. Backing this up is a 2024 review which looked at dozens of studies on intermittent physical activity. They found that almost all forms of short, accumulated activity improved cardiometabolic health, fitness, mobility, mood, and adherence, because people can actually stick to it. In other words, everything counts. Now, people often assume that one session a week isn't going to build any strength, but a 2024 review found that minimal dose resistance training programs, which includes 1 to 2 sessions per week, can meaningfully increase strength, muscle mass, physical function, and metabolic health. They reported that even one set per exercise performed to moderate to high effort can generate measurable improvements over time. So if you are lifting weights once a week, you are still building strength, you are still supporting bone health, you are still improving metabolic function. Your body adapts even to small inputs. Now here is where the evidence gets even more interesting. A 2023 study followed adults who did no structured exercise, but they did accumulate short bouts of brisk activity in daily life. Things like fast walking, carrying groceries, climbing stairs, walking uphill. And the results? These tiny bursts were associated with lower mortality and lower major cardiovascular event risk, even though these people weren't doing workouts. What matters here is intensity spikes and frequency of movement, not perfect routines. A 2024 study showed that moderate intensity lifestyle physical activity, so things like housework, brisk walking, stair climbing, was associated with better executive function in older adults. So we're talking better memory, better attention, better cognitive flexibility. And again, these people weren't doing structured workouts, meaning one session a week plus small daily movements equals fantastic brain health benefits. Another really interesting study on minimal dose exercise is a 2023 paper which looked at adults who did no structured exercise, but those who naturally accumulated 1 to 2 minutes at a time of vigorous activity during daily life, like fast stair climbing, brisk walking, or lifting heavy objects, showed a substantially lower cancer risk and better overall health outcomes. And this was from accidental vigorous activity. So imagine what happens when you intentionally add this, even if that is a single weekly workout. The evidence is loud and clear. Yes, one session a week improves strength. Yes, small bursts of effort. Yes, small bursts of effort throughout the day improve metabolic health. Yes, lifestyle activity improves cardiovascular and cognitive health. Yes, short vigorous bursts reduce cancer risk. And yes, your health responds to far less exercise than you've been told you should do. One workout a week week is absolutely worth it. And when you pair that with tiny, realistic movement throughout your day, the benefits compound fast. Movement doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to exist in your life. Now, it is worth mentioning the government physical activity guidelines, because this is where a lot of people start to feel like they are failing at exercise. Most countries follow similar recommendations: 150 minutes of moderate activity per week, or 75 minutes of vigorous activity, plus 2 strength training sessions. Now, these guidelines are based on strong public health data. They represent the optimal target for reducing chronic disease risk at the population level. But the important part of this is that they were never designed to be a pass-fail test for individuals. For many people, especially those who are busy, managing childcare, recovering from surgery, living with chronic health conditions, or just starting out, these numbers can feel completely unrealistic. And that's exactly where exercise snacks and intermittent movement can become so valuable. The newer research, including the studies that I've just outlined to you, show that you can accumulate benefits in very small pieces. Movement doesn't have to be structured to be effective, and short bouts can meaningfully improve heart health, strength, blood sugar control, cognitive function, and longevity. So instead of thinking of the guidelines as the minimum required to see benefits, you can think of them as the long-term destination. Whilst exercise snacks provide a realistic, accessible starting point, you can think of them as the long-term destination. And exercise snacks are going to provide a realistic, accessible starting point, especially on weeks where you only manage one session. Small doesn't mean useless. Small is actually how most people build consistency. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this helpful, then please like and subscribe for more science-backed fitness education. And remember, it is your body, your choice. I'm just here to help you make informed ones.